Agile in a nutshell, agile from the team lead's perspective.
Let's talk about Agile product development from the perspective of the team lead. Here's Sam. Sam is a team lead. Sam has a vision of how the team can add the most value to the company and how the team can grow and develop. Sam's team is developing a product for the company. Sam doesn't know all the details of what the product will do yet, but Sam knows why the product is being built, what problem it will solve, and for whom. Sam talks about this vision all the time. Here are the stakeholders, the people who will use, support, or be affected by the system being developed. The team's vision is that these people will love the system, use it frequently, and recommend it to others. The stakeholders' needs and Sam's ideas are expressed as work items. For example, if this were a flight booking system, one work item might be search for a flight. Both Sam and the stakeholders have many ideas, and Sam helps turn these into concrete work items. Now, someone has to build the system. Here's the team, a small, cross-functional, self-organizing development team. Since this is an agile team, they don't build until a big bang release at the end. Instead, they release early and often. In this case, they usually release 4 to 6 work items per sprint. That's their capacity. Capacity is easy to measure. Just count the number of work items done per sprint. Some items are big and count as 2. Some are small and count as half. On average, that adds up to about 4 to 6 work items per sprint. Some people call this story points, but we'll just call them work items per sprint. To maintain this pace and avoid getting bogged down by manual testing or reviewing, the team invests heavily in processes and tools. They simplify, standardize, and automate whenever possible. The problem is, stakeholders keep asking for all kinds of things, and they won't limit themselves to 4 to 6 ideas per sprint. The team also has lots of ideas and wishes. Every time they learn from their product in operation, they get even more ideas. What happens if we try to do everything? Overflow. Suppose the team starts working on 10 work items per sprint. If input is 10 and output is 4 to 6, the team gets overloaded. That causes multitasking, demotivation, and lower quality. A lose-lose situation. It's like pulling grass to make it grow faster or cramming more cars onto an already jammed highway. It doesn't work. So, what do? The solution is to look back at the team's past velocity. The team says, "We've finished 4 to 6 work items per sprint recently. That's our current velocity. Nobody is on holidays, so we expect our capacity for this sprint is also 4 to 6 work items." Sam's job is to figure out from all possible work items which ones to deliver next. Another approach is to limit work in progress. Suppose the team decides that 5 is the optimum number of work items to work on simultaneously. Whenever they finish one, they accept one new work item, keeping the work in progress limit, or WIP limit, intact. Both approaches work fine. They keep the team focused and effective. A side effect is that a queue forms in front of the team. In Agile, this queue is called the backlog. The backlog needs to be managed. If work items are identified at 10 work items per sprint and the team only delivers 4 to 6, the backlog grows. Soon, you have a 6-month-long wish list. That means every work item delivered was requested 6 months ago. How agile is that? There's only one way to stop the backlog from getting out of control. Say no. It's the most important word for a team lead, and Sam practices it daily. Saying yes is easy, just add it to the backlog. But the most important job of the team lead is deciding what not to build and taking responsibility for that decision. Sam also decides the sequencing, what to build now, what later, and how long the list should be. Prioritizing is a hard job, so Sam collaborates on this with the team and stakeholders. To prioritize, Sam needs some idea of value and size. Some work items are critical, others are nice to have. Some take hours, others take months. Value and size help Sam prioritize intelligently. Bigger doesn't mean better. Think of any system you use. There's probably a simple feature you use daily and a huge feature you never touch. Sam guesses value and size with the team, because that's all anyone can do. These are relative guesses, not absolute numbers. The point is to build the best ideas you have. If you get better ideas tomorrow, the sequence might change. The biggest value is in the conversations, not the numbers. Every time the team delivers something, they learn from the value and size forecasts, and they get better at guessing. Feedback loops are your friend. The team uses dashboards and retrospectives to learn from their past forecasts. Prioritization isn't enough. To deliver early and often, you need to slice work items into bite-sized pieces, preferably just a few days of work each. We want a funnel shape: small, clear items at the front, vague ones at the back. Slicing items just in time lets us use the latest insights. All this, estimating value and size, prioritizing, slicing, is called backlog refinement. Sam runs a backlog refinement workshop every Wednesday from 11 to 12. The whole team attends, sometimes stakeholders too. The agenda varies: estimation, slicing work items, clarifying acceptance criteria, adding new work, and evaluating deadlines. Notice the theme: communication. Agile leadership is all about communication. Experienced team leads emphasize passion and communication. That's why the first principle of the Agile Manifesto is individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Sam's job isn't spoon-feeding the team with work items. That's boring and ineffective. Sam ensures everyone understands the vision, that the team talks directly to stakeholders, they come up with plans, and that there's a short feedback loop through frequent deliveries. That way, the team learns and makes daily trade-offs on their own, while Sam focuses on the big picture. Let's take a look at a few of the trade-offs that need to be made by Sam and the team. First, there's a trade-off between different types of value. Early in the project, uncertainty and risk are our enemy. There's business risk. Are we building the right thing? And there's technical risk. Will it work on the platform that we want to run it on? Will it scale? And there's cost and schedule risk. Can we finish the product in a reasonable amount of time for a reasonable amount of money? Knowledge can be considered the opposite of risk. So when uncertainty is high, our focus is knowledge acquisition. We focus on things like prototypes or experiments. Maybe not too exciting for the customers, but still valuable because we are reducing risk. From a customer value perspective, the curve looks like this. In the beginning, as uncertainty is reduced, we gradually focus increasingly on customer value. We know what we're going to build and how, so just do it. And by doing the highest value work items first, we get this nice, steep value curve. And then gradually the value curve starts flattening out. We've built the most important stuff, and now we're just adding the cherries on top. At this point, Sam and the team may decide to trim the tail, cut right here, and move on to another more important project, or maybe start a whole new feature area within the same product. That is business agility. So when I talk about value here, I actually mean knowledge value plus customer value, and we need to continuously find the trade-off between these two. Another trade-off is short-term versus long-term thinking. What should we build next? Should we do that urgent bug fix, or build that awesome new feature that will blow the users away? Or do that difficult platform upgrade that will enable faster development in the future sometime? We need to continuously balance between reactive work and proactive work, or firefighting and fire prevention. My advice is to time box both. You could do the long-term work in the mornings until lunch and then do the short-term fixes. Tweak the time boxes so they strike the right balance for your product. And this relates to another trade-off. Should we focus on building the right thing, or building the thing right, or perhaps building it fast? Ideally, we want all three, but it's challenging to find the balance. Suppose we are here, trying to build the perfect product with the perfect architecture. If we spend too much time trying to get it perfect, we may miss the launch window or run into cash flow problems. Or suppose we're here, rushing to turn a prototype into a useful product. Great for the short term, perhaps, but in the long term we might be drowning in technical debt, fixing problems all the time, and our velocity will approach zero. Or suppose we are here, building a beautiful cruise ship in record time, except the users didn't need a cruise ship, they needed a canoe. So there's a healthy tension here between the team roles. Team lead tends to focus on building the right thing. Developers, or engineers, tend to focus on building the thing right. And Scrum Masters, or Agile coaches, tend to focus on learning fast. Speed is actually worth emphasizing because a short feedback loop will accelerate learning, so you'll more quickly learn what the right thing is and how to build it right. However, all three perspectives are important, so keep trying to find the balance. Finally, there is a trade-off between new product development and old product improvement. We tend to look at the introduction of a new product as a project, but project is a confusing term here because it implies that product development ends. However, the product is never really finished. There's always maintenance and improvements to be done until a product reaches the end of its life and is shut down. So when a team starts developing a new product, what happens to their last one? Handing off a product from one team to another is expensive and risky. So a more common scenario is that the team continues maintaining the old product while developing the new one. That's why teams don't really have product backlogs. They have a team backlog, and it can be a mix of stuff from different products. The team needs to continuously make trade-offs between these. Now, let's take a look at forecasting. Once in a while, a stakeholder will call Sam and say, "Hey, when will my stuff be done?" Or, "How much of my stuff will be done by Christmas?" As team lead, Sam is responsible for expectations management, or more importantly, realistic expectations management, and that means no lying. It's not really that difficult to make a forecast, as long as it doesn't have to be exact. If you measure the velocity of your team, you could draw a work item burn-up chart like this. This chart shows the cumulative number of work items delivered over time. Note the difference. This curve shows output, while that curve shows outcome. That's the output, and that's the outcome that we hope it will achieve. Our goal is not to produce as much output as possible. Our goal is to reach the desired outcome, happy stakeholders, using the least possible output. Less is more. Now look at the burn-up chart, and you can draw an optimistic and pessimistic trend line. You can just draw it visually. The gap between these lines is, of course, related to how wavy and unpredictable your velocity is. Luckily, that tends to stabilize over time. Okay, so back to expectations management. Suppose the stakeholders ask Sam, "When will all of this stuff be done?" That's a fixed scope, variable time question. So Sam uses the two trend lines to answer, most likely sometime between April and mid-May. Suppose stakeholders ask Sam, "How much will be done by Christmas?" That's a fixed time, variable scope question. The trend lines tell us that we'll most likely finish all of these by Christmas, some of those, and none of those. And finally, suppose stakeholders say, "Can we get these features by Christmas?" Now that's a fixed time, fixed scope question. Looking at the trend lines, Sam says, "Nope, sorry, ain't gonna happen." Followed by, "Here's how much we can get done by Christmas," or, "Here's how much more time we would need to get everything done." It's generally better to reduce scope than to extend time, because if we reduce scope first, we still have the option to extend the time later and then add the rest of the work items. Sam puts it this way: "We could deliver something here and the rest later, or we could deliver nothing here and the rest later. Which do you prefer?" The calculations are pretty simple to do, so Sam updates a forecast every week. The important thing here is that we are using real data to make the forecast and that we've been honest about uncertainty. Now, a word of warning. If the team is accumulating technical debt, or if they're not investing in simplifying their processes, then they will get slower and slower over time, and the work item burn-up curve will gradually flatten out. That makes forecasting almost impossible for Sam. So Sam avoids pressuring them into taking shortcuts and inspires the team to be responsible for maintaining a sustainable pace. Okay, what if we have a larger project with multiple teams? And what if we have several team leads, each with their own backlog for a different part of the product? Overall, the model is really the same. We still need capacity management, we still need stakeholder communication, we still need team leads who can say no, we still need backlog refinement, and we still need a short feedback loop. Velocity is really the sum of all output, so the combined output can be used for forecasting. In a multiple team scenario, however, the team leads have an important additional responsibility: to talk to each other. We should organize teams and backlogs to minimize dependencies, but there will always be some dependencies that we just can't get rid of. So there needs to be some kind of sync between team leads so they build things in a sensible order and avoid sub-optimizing. In large projects, this usually calls for some kind of chief team lead role or product manager to keep the team leads synchronized. Okay, that's it. Agile team lead in a nutshell. I hope this was useful to you.
Agile, 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 agile in a nutshell. Agile.